In this video, we're going to be talking about using percent equations. So our essential questions are, what are the percent equations and how do you use percent equations to solve problems? So the percent equations are versions of the percent proportion. So we can use these equations to solve the exact same types of problems we used the percent proportion to solve. It's just a different way to do it. The advantage to using percent equations is that they are a little bit faster than the percent proportion. And the downside to percent equations is that there's three different ones you have to remember rather than just one proportion that we have to use in the previous video. So what are the percent equations? There are three of them, and we use one for each different type of percent problem. So it depends on what's missing in the problem that determines which percent equation we're going to use. So if the percent is missing, we're going to use this equation right here. The percent is equal to the part divided by the whole. If you take the part and divide it by the whole, that will tell you what the percent is. If the part is missing, we're going to use this equation right here, where the part is equal to the whole times the percent. And if the whole is missing, we're going to use this equation right here. The whole is equal to the part divided by the percent. Now you'll notice there's an asterisk next to the percent in every one of these equations. Now this is the most critical point right here. The percent will always be written as its decimal value. In every one of these equations, the percent will always be represented in its decimal form. So you always have to convert the percent to the decimal or convert it to a percent when you're trying to find it. So that's something you have to remember also when using percent equations, is that percents will always be in their decimal form. So let's take a look at some examples here of using percent equations. Now these types of questions should look familiar because we've used the percent proportion to solve these. But now we're going to use one of the percent equations to solve the same type of questions. So 75 is what percent of 150? So let's kind of take this question apart here and see what we know. So here 75 is, that tells me that I know the part. What percent, that tells me the percent is missing of 150. That's the whole out of 150. So I know the whole, I know the part, but the percent is missing. So if I'm looking at my percent equations, this is the one I want to use right here, the one that tells me the percent. So the percent is equal to the part divided by the whole. So I'm going to take the part divided by the whole to get the percent, and that's 75 divided by 150. And 75 divided by 150 is 0.5. Now remember that that is the percent as a decimal. Remember that asterisk right there. So 0.5 is what percent? We multiply that by 100, and that gives me 50%. So you have to remember to convert that to a percent and put the percent sign on it once you're done. So 75 is 50% of 150. Next one, 84 is 60% of what number? So 84 is, this is the part, 60% is obviously the percent of what number? So the whole is missing. So here we need to look for the equation that tells us what the whole is, and that's this last one right here. The whole is equal to the part divided by the percent. So I'm going to take the part divided by the percent to get my whole. The part is 84, and I need to divide it by the percent. Now you got to be careful because again, there's that asterisk there. That has to be written as its decimal form. So 60% as a decimal, if I divide that by 100, is 0.6. So 84 divided by 0.6 is 140. So 84 is 60% of 140. That's the whole. So I found that using the percent equation. So it is faster to use than the proportions, but again, you have to remember those special cases with the percents. You have to write them as their decimal value. And then lastly, what is 39% of 65? What is, so the part is missing. 39% is the percent of 65 is the whole. So I'm going to be using this equation right here. Part equals whole times percent. So I'm going to take the whole and multiply that by the percent. And the whole is 65. And I'm going to multiply that by the percent again as a decimal. So 39% as a decimal is 0.39. So 65 times 0.39 is 25.35. And that is the part. 25.35 is 39% of 65. So there's an example of using the percent equations in each of our types of problems that you'll see. You won't see any other problem types than that because we can only have the percent missing, the part missing, or the whole missing. So what does this look like in real world problems? I have my percent equations up here at the top to refer to again, and let's decide which ones we need to use. Ruben bought 6 new books for his collection. This, the 6 books, increased his collection by 12%. How many books did he have before his purchase? So the 6 books is only part of his collection. So the 6 books is the part, which is the percent, 12%. So that means how many books did he have before his purchase is the whole. So the part we know, the percent we know, the whole is missing. So we're going to use the equation that helps us find the whole. And that would be this one right here. The whole is equal to the part divided by the percent. So I'm going to take the part divided by the percent to find the whole. And the part was 6. The percent was 12, but again, we have to write that 12% as a decimal, which is 0.12. So I take 6 divided by 0.12, and that gives me 50. So that tells me the whole, or how many books Ruben had before he got his 6 new books. So we would conclude Ruben had 50 books. So there's an example of using a percent equation to solve a real world problem. Amy scored 46 out of 60 points on her history test. What percent of the points did she earn? So what percent, that's what's missing here. What do we know? Amy scored 46 out of 60. So the 60 points is the total or the whole. 46 is the part, and the percent is missing. So we need to use the equation that tells us the percent, and that would be this one right here. The percent is equal to the part divided by the whole. So part divided by whole, and that would be 46 divided by 60. And 46 divided by 60 is 0.76 repeating. And again, that's the percent as a decimal. So I multiply that by 100, and I get 76.6 repeating percent. So then we would say that Amy scored about 76.7. I'm going to round that to the nearest tenth percent on her test. And that's solving percent problems that we've solved with the percent proportion, but using percent equations instead. Again, either one of those methods is going to work, percent proportion or percent equation. It's just a matter of preference, which ones you prefer, and some have advantages over the other. The percent proportion, you only have to remember one thing, and it works for all problems, but it takes a little bit longer. And then the percent equations are faster, but there's 3 different ones you need to remember. So take your pick when solving percent problems.